Word on the street is y'all want to know why I'm a bald head scallywag who ain't got no hair in the back. So this video is going to be my journey with alopecia. Story time! Now, truth be told, the journey with alopecia is probably the most painful journey that I've been on because up until this point, it is seemingly permanent. I have what is called extreme scarring alopecia. Now, the story does not start in 2024, so we got to go back a lot of years. I was not born with alopecia. I was born with a head full of hair. I even got voted best hair in high school. So let's go back. I am assigned female at birth. I was raised as a girl. My mother had a daughter, etc. And I was raised in New Orleans, Louisiana, which is a colorist city. Colorist as fuck. But the thing about talking about colorism is you can't talk about colorism without talking about texturism. So texturism is texture of hair on your head mixed with the skin tone that you have. So you may have seen people who aren't necessarily light skinned, but because they have good hair can mentally make you come across lighter skin. Weird. But anyway, so I was raised in New Orleans, born with a head full of hair, but the texture of my hair was not favored by my mom. She probably would never admit it, but I haven't figured out if my mama just didn't know how to do hair, or I believe she had some colorism and some texturism stuff inside of her, because she put a pressing comb in a jar or a PCJ in my hair when I was like 3 years old. And that probably sent a message to me very early. And I also remember when my mama would comb my hair when I was younger, she would say stuff like, "Oh, you got your daddy hair. Oh, your hair's so nappy." Oh, and speaking those types of things over a child, literally speaking them over a child, that sticks with you. So I got perms. I probably got my first perm relaxer when I was 5, easily. PCJs before that, but I got messages early that my hair was not good. It was not favored. It was not tolerable. Yes, it is extremely kinky. Yes, all those things. So I grew up keeping my hair as bone straight as possible. I mean, I would over process my hair. When I talk to my mom about my alopecia, she's quick to say, "You left my house with hair." Meaning when I moved out and went to college, I had hair. So she deems no responsibility for even the messages that were instilled in me as a kid and how those messages can travel with you mentally, spiritually, and emotionally over time. So my mama takes no credit for my alopecia, despite the ideological messages, despite being told your hair's so nappy, you got your daddy hair. She takes credit for none of that because I left her house with hair. And for her, she did her job. She, the 80s and the 80s, if we're talking about that point, because I was born in 79. The 80s were not a time when this current era where we see people really proud of their natural texture. That wasn't what was happening in the 80s. The 80s was perms, make your hair as straight as possible, use perm repair on your edges. Your edges need to be slicked down. Your kitchen needs to be slick. This era that we live in of pride around the natural coil of our hair, baby, if that was in the 80s, my hair would be stunning by now. And not by now, but at this point in the game. So anyway, I was that kid who, I was the Shirley Temples. I wore the gunny sack Jessica McClintock dresses. I got perms religiously every 4 to 6 weeks. I got my hair done every 2 weeks. It was a ritual and a rite of passage. My mama had a Jerry curl, but my grandma and me, my mama would drop us off to the hairdresser every other Saturday. Rite of passage. My hairdresser's name was Miss Price. It was interesting. I actually found Miss Price this year. She's still alive. She's almost 90. I found her niece, and her niece sent me a picture of Miss Price, who is still alive. So me and my grandma has since passed in 2006, but me and my grandma would go get our hair done every 2 weeks. So I was the cute as a button chocolate kid in New Orleans, very well put together, very well dressed, and my hair was always bone straight. But remember, I said the messages that my mom sent me saying your hair's so nappy, your hair's so bad, and this religiosity almost around getting my hair done every 2 weeks and putting perm repair on the edges and having to slick the edges down. By the time I left my mom's house at 17 for Spelman College, my mentality around my hair was shot to shit. I did not have a healthy relationship with my hair. I couldn't have even told you my real texture. I don't know if to this date I have actually seen the real texture of my hair, because the moment that a nap came through, I'm doing something. I'm putting I'm spot perming it. Putting perm repair, which was a cream that you can buy in like this tube. I'm doing something to not have nappy hair, to not have hair like my daddy. So when let's back up. I want to go back into high school. So I used to go to Miss Price, and then I think I kind of bugged my mama enough to age out of Miss Price, because Miss Price, like, she 90 now, so she was older back then. And they used to do the curly Shirley Temples, and I wanted something cuter. So my mama let me go to this lady named Miss Jackie. I don't regret leaving Miss Price. I regret leaving Jackie, because the next person who did my hair is where the trauma of my scalp began. Miss Jackie did a killer rap, and up until 11th grade or so, I loved it. I didn't have no taper or nothing. It was just a wrap. In New York, they call them doobies. Sometimes I have the one or two rollers at the top in the wrap, or sometimes I wouldn't have rollers at all. Then the Toni Braxton pixie cut comes out, and Miss Jackie didn't really do short cuts at all. She didn't cut hair, but I skipped chairs. I went to this other lady in the shop named Kay, and Kay had dirty clippers. And I got that Toni Braxton pixie cut, which was fire. Like, Kay could do hair, but her clippers was dirty, so I started developing bumps on the back of my head. Nothing too major, but it was my first time really having to deal with my scalp and my skin and hair and bumps and new growth. Not new growth, but bumps, because before that I had never had a razor to my head. I had never had clippers to my head, so I had no idea how to deal with this, but I knew I wanted that pixie cut. So Miss K was the last person that did my hair up until I went to college. Now, I did go to a white high school, but we also had black girls that could braid too, and I got voted best hair. And so I'm taking this message of perm is what your hair's supposed to be, relaxed. When I say perm, I'm talking about relaxers. Your hair needs to be perm, it needs to be bone straight. And I'm taking that message in, and mixed with, honestly, white validation around my hair had me thinking I was hot shit. So by the time I left my mama's house to go to Atlanta, to go to Spelman, I found a beauty shop on Ralph David Abernathy near Lee Street, if you know the AUC, you know that area, called Georgian's. And what I would do to save money, I would already mold my hair so that by the time I went to Georgian's, all she had to do was curl it. But it's the pixie cut, so that heat is close to my scalp. And this happens every week. I'm going to get my hair done every week. It's what, $15 in 98? I'm going to get my hair done every week. Too much, not necessarily perms, but too much heat to the scalp. And unbeknownst to me, I'm fucking my scalp up. Slowly but surely. I didn't realize it until one day, junior year, I looked in the mirror and so wait, I think I cut my perm out sophomore year. I had a like tapered fro, real cute boy cut, definitely a masculine cut. I never let them line me up in the front, but I had a natural. And it wasn't necessarily frowned upon by my mama, because my mama had a natural. I don't know my mother to have ever had a perm. I know my mama to have had a jerry curl. So, but despite the messaging around my natural texture hair, I wasn't shamed for not having a perm. And I kept it up. I started learning how to hydrate my hair, because one thing about my hair is that it drinks up water real fast. So I did have a natural sophomore year to like maybe second semester junior year. I put a perm back in my head. I found this lady who did two girls who had the most fire pixie cuts. We all went to the same lady. And I have pinpointed one moment in time that I believe fucked me up permanently. So it is senior year, spring break trip. We going in the Grill, Jamaica. It's my first time out of the country. Back then you didn't need a passport to get to Jamaica, but it was my first time out of the country. The first time I got on a plane was July of 1997 to come back from pre-freshman summer science program back to New Orleans. I remember I rode AirTran. I can probably remember the outfit I had on. I did not travel internationally as a child. I didn't leave this country. I didn't get a passport until 2009. My first place I ever went was Senegal. So I was not cultured in that way. So it's time to go to Jamaica. Back then you didn't need a passport. There's a whole nother story about how me and my friend Laren finagled Jamaica and I got busted. But anyway, that's not part of this story. So I had not had a perm in a while, and I got braids. I got extension cornrows, which wasn't a style that I really wore that much, but everybody had them. I knew I was about to get in water, so I got these braids. Now I didn't like the braids, and them shits was too tight. Looking back, I probably was a little tender-headed, if I want to admit it. I never wore extremely tight style, so you might hear me say I had a ponytail. I might have had some box braids, but tight styles was never my thing. And looking back, I was probably tender-headed. So the braids was too tight. And this is the moment in time that I think fucked me up permanently. Remember, I had already said that I started seeing a thin spot on this side of my head already. It wasn't progressing, but I also didn't know to respond to it and go to dermatologists. And I didn't grow up like that. Like, our pediatrician was my grandma Lonnie, was a maid in the Farber home, Dr. Farber, Stuart Farber. He's since passed away, white man who lived in Metairie. He was everybody's pediatrician. I didn't know about dermatology. I didn't know about any other specialty to go even seek out help when I saw the thin spot. So I ignored it. But remember, I had already seen this thin spot. So the braids was too tight. It's probably the day before we leaving for Jamaica. I also didn't think they were very well done. So I took the braids out, but my scalp is hurting, my tender to the touch. And I went and got a relaxer.
What the fuck?
The day before we left for saltwater, chlorine pool, Jamaica.
Nigga.
And I have retraced my steps so many times about this experience with alopecia, about what was the moment that fucked me up. I think I still would have had a head full of hair if I just would have had that thin spot. But taking them braids out, my scalp is already tender, and I went and got a perm in my head, then went to Jamaica. To this day, I'm like, what the fuck were you thinking? What the fuck were you thinking? I also regret going from the natural I had when I told y'all I grew my perm out sophomore year, then I got a perm again. I regret that. I should have just stayed natural. I should have just never gotten a perm. Anyway, so I got that perm. We went to Jamaica. My ass gets in the salt water. My ass gets in the chlorine pools at the resort. By the time graduation comes, because remember, Jamaica is senior class trip. By the time May 18th, 2001 comes, my hair is brittle as fuck.
Shit. God damn it.
And still, I don't know anything about hair care in the sense of medical intervention. Nothing crossed my mind to go seek help from a physician, from a dermatologist. I don't think I saw my first dermatologist until I was in my PhD program. I don't know when I first saw my dermatologist, but when I saw the dermatologist for the first time. So my hair is brittle. And it's nothing to the sense of like people looking at me like, what the fuck wrong with your hair? But I knew my hair, and I knew I grew up with a very healthy head of hair. This because I had professionals doing my hair. Although I would get a perm every 6 weeks, is still probably too frequently to get a perm. My hair was still healthy because I had old women doing my hair who knew what the fuck they was doing. So by the time graduation came, I remember my senior class pictures. I remember the cap and gown picture. I remember the picture where I took the cap and gown off. And my hair was just not fucking right. Never in a million years would I have thought that would escalate to extreme scarring alopecia, because to somewhat fast forward, I have not had a head full of hair since 2003 probably. Now, some people might say, but if y'all know me, y'all be like, but you had locks. I had locks. But if you notice, those locks was always in a ponytail because the middle of my head was done. Bald. Scarred, no follicles, nothing. So my friend Rachel, who used to do my locks, would always have to do updos. I would always have to have a ponytail. I never wore my locks hanging. Well, I lied. I wore them hanging for about a year or two. I got away with it, where I knew how to cover a lock and move it over the bald spot. But after a while, I had to always wear a ponytail. Although I had long locks, I had to always wear a ponytail. Now, I went to my PhD program with locks. And in Madison is where I cut my hair off bald. But remember, I still am not quite up on scalp care, how to respond to bumps, exfoliation. I don't really know shit about that. So I was shaving my head because and I didn't have a beard yet. I look good bald. And I was shaving my head sometimes with a single edge razor. And that exacerbated the problem because I started getting razor bumps, which have since resulted in scarring keloids on the back of my head, which, to be transparent, is why you're probably never going to catch me without a hat on, or even a do-rag at the house. It is my biggest insecurity, my head. If you want to know my kryptonite, I can't believe I'm saying this. It is my scalp. First of all, my hair is where I'm most girly. Although, fun fact, men who are bald often don't want to be bald either. Now, I don't want to get all deep into this, but there's a lie that people say that men who are bald don't mind. Hair transplants are one of the biggest elective surgeries globally. Istanbul, Turkey leads the globe, not the nation, leads the globe in hair transplants. GDP of almost $2 billion to $6 billion a year of men flying from all across the globe to Turkey to get their hair transplanted. And I also want to say in this video, please don't approach me with, I have a friend who used this cream on his head and his hair grew back. I have a friend who used this serum and their hair grew back. I have scarring alopecia. So the only thing that's going to help me is a hair transplant. But I also am not a good candidate for hair transplants because I don't have enough of what's called a donor site. And a donor site, in case you don't understand how hair transplants work, you take hair from one part of your head and transplant it to the bald spots. And because I'm a bald head scallywag who also ain't got no hair in the back, which is where most donor sites come from, the back of the head, I actually don't even have enough donor sites. Now, my biggest dream, which is why I have not lasered this beard off, because I could do without the beard, is to use my beard as a donor site. But we run into another issue of what the fuck my face gonna look like afterwards, because I'm vain. Despite the fact that I have keloids on the back of my head, a bitch is still vain. And so I'm not really interested in attempting to resolve the head issue, introducing face keloid issues. So me and the physician gonna have to have a really intricate conversation, because I also keloid very easily just as a person, which, back to not knowing dermatology, I didn't know I had keloid prone skin. So yeah, I told you about the single moment that I have pinpointed as to what sent my scalp into a frenzy, which was taking them cornrows out, scalp tender and hurt to the touch already, which was part of the reason I took them out, because it was too tight. Taking those braids out, and the next day going get a perm, then flying my ass to Negril, Jamaica, and getting in salt water and chlorine. I have pinpointed is the moment that put a coffin on me having hair on my head. So yes, I'm not interested in suggestions about a friend who had a cream that they put on their hair. That person clearly still has follicles. I do not. And there's also some research happening where they're working on taking a few follicles from the donor site, and I'm also not hairy enough. Like some people could donate from their chest, their legs, anywhere they have hair. I'm not hairy enough for that to, replenish my scalp. But there's some research out happening where they can take a few follicles and multiply those follicles in a lab, your own follicles. So I pray to God that happens either before I die or before we go into the colonies of Trumpism, because I really would love to have hair before that happens, because if I can't keep my head shaved, the thought of having to walk around with the prickly and the patchiness, the way my hair grows, makes me want to fucking cry. So that my case of alopecia is an extreme case, because I don't have much donor site, because I was already bumped up from, remember when I told you I jumped chairs in the beauty salon and went to the lady who knew how to do the pixie cut, but she had dirty clippers. So I already had issues in the back of my head. And then the third thing that also fucked me up, which I didn't know, is for 3 years, people like, how did you get the beard? How did you get the beard? Well, let me tell you how I got the beard. For 3 years, I was on testosterone. I could tell another story about what the decision was to get on testosterone, but the reason I got off that shit is because it really wasn't me in the beginning from the first place, and they also don't know the impact of long-term testosterone on female reproductive organs. So I got the female reproductive organs, so I said, let me get off this shit. But also, when you get on testosterone, you run the risk of male pattern baldness. So the bottom line is that if I was a man, I would be a bald man. And so the testosterone I was on also further balded me at the top. So if they don't come out with something where they could multiply hair follicles in a petri dish, I'm fucked. So for those of you who do that type of research, please consult with your peers to expedite this process of using 1 to 2 hair follicles to reproduce in a petri dish. And the only other option I would have if I had a identical twin, but I don't. So here we are. Bald head scallywag, ain't got no hair in the back. So that is the story of how I ended up with alopecia. So now I have keloids on the back of my scalp. I'm currently in the process of getting that treated with my dermatologist and I work together real good. She wasn't ready for me to come in really like having knowledge about it, so she even had to be like, oh, okay. I showed her some things she didn't know, which felt good. So now we have a relationship. So I'm on a new treatment regimen that I haven't actually started yet, which I need to start. I have all of the things that I need for it. So that can help the keloids on the back of my head so that I can feel more comfortable not wearing hats. I don't necessarily wear hats every day because I'm bald. I wear hats every day because of the scarring on my head. It makes it worse in my mind. Probably in reality too, because other people are vain just like me. So that's the story of how I got alopecia. That's the story of how I was indoctrinated with certain beliefs around hair texture. That's the story about over-processing chemicals. That's the story of how I got a perm when I was like 4 years old, and that sent me into a frenzy of feeling like I had to keep my hair bone straight. That's the story of how I pinpointed one moment in time where I think fucked me up forever. And now you have me today, 44 years old, with an extreme case of scarring alopecia. So that's how I became a bald head scallywag who ain't got no hand in the back. Y'all have a good day. Peace.